What's going on, guys? Week 13, Bourbon N Ball, bringing you the hottest players from this past 7 days and some really good sell high, buy low candidates. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Bourbon N Ball. I am Doug here at the Cave in Foxborough. There's my friend over there, Mikey V, coming to you from Clearwater, Florida. This is Bourbon N Ball, where, of course, we talk stiff competition while drinking stiff drinks. Wow, I just thought of that line in myself.
Wow. You know what? You got to say it every week now, right?
If I remember. All right, so, man, a lot of wildness going on. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the hottest players, the coldest players, and some really good sell high, buy low guys. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about some of these hot ones. And yeah, there are some surprises for sure. There's the list of them right there. Man, it's like just a weird hodgepodge of players that I don't know. Let me go over the hitters first, Mike. You can break them down, then we'll talk pitchers because to me, the pitchers are the more fun of the two. But let's just talk. So the past 7 days, you got Cubs shortstop Dansby Swanson, who's only 37.9% owned in leagues, hit .435, 3 homers, 16 ribbies. That's a Cubs record, 15 RBI in 3 games, 8 runs, 5 strikeouts, 3 stolen bases. Gave you 56 points for the week, 9.3 a start. So every day, the last 7 days you started him, he got you an average of 9 points. That is ridiculous for a player. Pitchers, we see it if they're 2 starts or complete game shutouts, whatnot. For a hitter, that is tough. And let me tell you, this is more of an outlier than anything because even after these numbers, he's still only hitting 199 on the year. So, I get it. It's always fun to go out and say, well, this guy's hot. Let me pick him up. But usually by the time you pick someone up that's hot, they cool. Right? They cool down pretty quick. So I don't know if I'd go out and pick him up. But if you did, you started him, you were part of that 37% that put him in the lineup. Kudos, man. Kudos. You should have a podcast, like I always say. Next up, we've got Rangers outfield Wyatt Langford. He's 68% owned. He had a pretty good week. 367, 4 homers, 11 ribbies, 5 runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 stolen base. 39 points, 8.4 start. Again, that's more to me of an outlier. Of course, the guy I'm playing has Wyatt Langford starting, and he has a couple other people in this hot honorable mentions list. So, it is what it is. I honestly, Wyatt Langford, he's going to be one of the streakier guys in any whatever. I mean, that Rangers lineup doesn't really do much, especially with Corey Seager in and out. So he's going to become the guy. And in some honorable mentions, we were just talking about him before the show. Rays, Junior Caminero, Phillies, Bryce Harper, both gave you 35. Cubs catcher, Carson Kelly. Cubs had a great week offensively, 34 points. Then, of course, the Phillies had a really good week because Kyle Schwarber, and then you got Toronto's Okamoto and the Royals' Jack Caglione all gave you 32 points. I do got to say, I do like the Okamoto. He's kind of turned the corner a little bit. I think he's adapted well now to pitching. He's not striking out as much. And I think he's got like 3 home runs in the last 7 games. So honestly, not a bad pickup if you want to pick him up and at least stash him, especially for a third base position.
Yeah, third base is tricky this year. It's kind of been all over the place. You got Jose Ramirez still hurt, so it's just kind of a tough position to fill. But if he can be consistent, I mean, great. I mean, it's only been his first season since coming over from the KBO. You got to make adjustments. And baseball is a long season. We're only halfway through this thing. So if he's already adjusting at this point, making the right moves, catching up to speed, he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be a reliable guy for sure moving forward, at least rosterable at this point, right? I think he's earned that spot at this point in 10-man, 12-man leagues. But back to Dansby Swanson, nailed it. I mean, again, 199 for the year. Oof. Like that's bad when you hit 425 for the week and you're still hitting 199. That's tough. That's rough. But the whole Cubs team had a good week, right? We talked about them before the show a little bit, like we said. And with the Rockies, you're going to beat up them sometimes, and this is going to happen. And they had, I think, a double hitter as well, so there was extra games there played. Even Nico Horner, I think, had like 15 points the last couple days, which is good to see. He's been struggling in that lineup. But Wyatt Langford, I mean, again, streaky guy. You don't really know what he is yet. It's only a second-year player, so it's really tough to gauge. He's a highly touted prospect, a couple of years ago, but at the same time now, it's like, what's he going to be moving forward? Is he going to be a consistent power guy, or is he going to, maybe make that leap a little bit, kind of like Jordan Walker did earlier this year? Like, we're looking for something from him yet. I don't know if it's there yet. I'm just not buying into him so far, but he is probably rosterable. Probably the only really hitter next to Josh Young, who's playing pretty good baseball. But that whole Rangers team, I'm just not buying in on. It's just not for me right now. But like you said, Junior Caminero, 3 home runs yesterday. Great to see. Tampa needs to turn the corner sooner than later, so hopefully that's the fire they got. So playing tonight again as well against our boy Zach Gallen down here in Tampa, so it'll be fun to watch that later.
Well, he's got a home run already. He had a 3-run shot today, so he's on fire.
He's rocking and rolling. So it's going to be a great week for those owners, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm a junior guy, Doug. Always riding with the train. But yeah, it's just great to see other guys. What did you say? Kyle Schwarber's on here as well. Jack, I feel like, has kind of turned a corner as well. I think you got to ride the hot streak if you got him. He's, I think, turning into a legit hitter. Coming out of the minors, I think he was supposed to be like a 60 power or something like that when it comes to like the standings and stuff. So he could be a potential 30, 40 home run guy in his future. But man, he's showcasing it so far these last few weeks.
So let's go into pitchers here. And I drafted this Houston pitcher. I still have him on my roster. I haven't started him yet, but I feel like he has maybe turned the corner. I'm talking about Houston starting pitcher Tatsuya Maui. 21.4% owned. Listen to this week. 2-0, 12 innings pitched, so 2 quality starts, 21 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 earned, 53.76 points. I mean, his first start was home versus the Guardians. Then he was in Detroit. Pretty decent matchups, right? His last 6 starts, he's 4-1. He's got 29 2/3 innings pitched. He's got 37 strikeouts. I think this is the guy you're seeing why the Astros went out and signed him to that huge contract. I think they realized they saw the potential. And, it didn't start out smooth at all. I mean, he was complaining about, his off days, and he had that little dead arm thing going on at the first month of the year. But he's really coming to his own. And I think what I'm seeing, and if you can hold on to him, and he might become a must start in a month or two if he can keep this up, because the strikeouts are there. The stuff is filthy when it's filthy. It's just when it's not filthy, as you've seen before those 6 starts, he gets rocked. He gets rocked hard. I'm talking 6 or 7 earned. I mean, just ask the A's. They know. And then here's another fun one. Red Sox starting pitcher Conley Early, 29% owned, 2-0. Again, 12 innings pitched, 2 quality starts, 16 strikeouts, 3 walk, 3 earned, 48.76 points. And these were not give me wins, by the way. The first game was in Seattle against the Mariners. Then the Yankees at home. Those are some must-win games. And it's funny because I'm going to talk honorable mentions, and it is wild to see the Red Sox staff and how they have just kind of dominated this last week. You had Ranger Suarez, 39 points. Then Cam Schlittler had 37. Rays starting pitcher, relief pitcher Gavin Jacks had 34. Rangers starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore had 33. I mean, man, I don't know what happened. Crawled out of a grave for a couple starts. Tigers starting pitcher, relief pitcher Troy Melton. And then Red Sox starting pitcher Sonny Gray, 29 points. So you have all these Red Sox pitchers on here, but the team's still playing under 500 ball. You look at this and you'd figure, okay, well, you've got guys that had multiple starts. This looks like a team that should probably be 8-2 in their last 10. But in reality, they're 4-6. It is, I mean, we've talked about it. It's not the staff. It's always been the offense. It's just unfortunate because, man, you're wasting these games. And we talked about Sonny Gray. He looked great, 11 strikeouts the other day. I mean, these guys are exactly what the Red Sox spent their money on that everybody was making fun of him for. I was making fun of him. I'm not a Sonny Gray guy. I do like Ranger Suarez, and I know, he's signed to a pretty long-term deal. So him and Garrett Crochet on a 1-2 to me is awesome. But Sonny Gray's coming to his own, Conley early. You got Tolley pitching tonight. He looks all right. It's a great staff. You need to start spending money on the offense. And we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, those are the hottest ones, and some honorable mentions in there for you, Mike.
Like you said, Red Sox heavy. Great. That's cool. It's great to see, but they got to win more baseball games. Man, they blew so many games this week. It was awful to watch. But, I'll start with Conley early. What a stud. I think this guy's legit. Throws great on the mound. Looks great up there. Love the lefty. Like, it's just a good Red Sox fit, I feel, for that ballpark, too, playing in Fenway. So I think he's going to be just fine moving forward. Very interesting to see how he progresses throughout his career, too. So I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be in that Red Sox rotation, I say, for the next, at least few years. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they're going to build a young team. I think they're going to sell some of these guys. We talked about Sonny Gray just right there, right? I mean, he's having a fantastic season for the Sox. Very surprising. What is he now? 9-1. He's got like a 1.0 whip, just like almost a sub-3 ERA, just crushing it right now. So he's going to be attractive to some of these playoff teams because right now, Sox, they're bottom of the AL. They are looking to be sellers at this point, and they got things to sell as well. So I do think like a Sonny Gray going somewhere else for a contender, it's possible. And I don't know if that at this point benefits him or not, right? That's also the other question on the other side of that. So it's great to see right now. I'm riding him out. I got him in a couple of leagues. He's great. So I suggest everyone do the same. I mean, this is a great, great guy to have on your roster, especially if you drafted him late, maybe even picked him up on free agency, depending on in your leagues. So great to see. But let's go back to Houston real quick, right? We buried this guy, Doug.
I've always rostered him. I never dropped him. I did at one point think about dropping him. I think after like his third start, he played Oakland. He got crushed. And I was like, man, I just drafted him and everybody made fun of me. And I was like, I can't drop him because then everybody's going to make fun of me again.
No, we would never do that. Who would do that in our leagues, right? We don't make fun of each other at all.
I went very international heavy on my draft with Murakami, Tetsuya, and then I drafted Okamoto. So very heavy. And what's crazy is Okamoto was actually one of the first of the three that went off the board, and I actually did end up dropping him. I picked him back up, but I did drop him. It's just you don't know what to expect. But if you're drafting players, I think I drafted him probably earlier than I should, probably in the mid-teens. So I kind of felt like I had to ride it out a little bit. And I'm glad I did because he looks great.
He does. He really does. And those three guys alone, they're going to have to take time to adjust. It's just kind of the name of the game. We've seen it way before. We've seen it with Ichiro. We saw it with Hideki Matsui when he came over. Like, there was always these periods of times where these guys really going to have to, learn the hard way, right? It's like playing craps, Doug. That's how you learn how to play craps. You lose about $200 before you know how to play. So I think that's sometimes like the deal with some of them, overseas players at times. And there is a payoff. Look at Murakami so far to this point. I think he's been fantastic. The power is great to see. He's very fun to watch. And he goes to extra bases hits. We talk about the Adam Dunn comparison, the big joke, but definitely a stud. He's definitely a fantasy guy that you must put in your lineup when he's out there. So I think the name of the game is patience. And then same thing with me here, in Houston. You got to be patient sometimes.
Right. I think I might start him next week. I think he's playing the Twins, which is a pretty favorable matchup. So I think I might throw him in there. And actually, I think I might bench. And it's going to be crazy. Paul Skeens.
Whew.
He's going against Philly in Philly. And that, like, the fact he gave up 4 runs to Cincinnati really early and the struggles, that matchup, listen, I could bench him and he'll probably pitch a no-hitter with my luck. But, just what he's done lately, it just kind of makes sense at this point to maybe with a tougher matchup in Philly to just put him on your bench and maybe ride out a Tatsua, and see if he can keep it up against the Twins.
Yeah, I think that's a great matchup. I think we're gonna have to talk about him maybe on Monday or so.
Right. So we've talked about the hot. Now let's talk about the cold. Ooh. And some of these names should not surprise you, but the worst fantasy player surprised me from last week. And he's smiling. I don't know why he's smiling. Drake Baldwin had himself a week. I don't know. He came back from the injury too fast. It's just tough. So first and foremost, again, let's talk hitters, and then we'll dive into pitchers. So because some of those guys don't surprise me at all. But Braves catcher Drake Baldwin, 96% owned in leagues. He batted 0, no homers, no ribbies. He had 1 run and 14 strikeouts. He gave you negative 13 points on the week, negative 2.2 a start. So every day he was in your lineup, he gave you negative 2 points. That is a tough pill to swallow. That's more than some of the pitchers. And then next up, you have Red Sox outfield Jared Durant. He's 77% owned. I mean, it's the headache with him. Hot, cold, hot, cold. 0.087, no homers, 1 ribby, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts, negative 4 points. And then some honorable mentions. And honestly, these honorable mentions do not surprise me whatsoever because, all these people are hit or miss. I'm talking about Nationals outfield James Woods. You got the catcher for the Rockies, Hunter Goodman. You got Mariners outfielder Randy Rosarina. You got Astros first base DH Kristen Walker. They all gave you negative 3 points on the week. And then, of course, Cardinals Jordan Walker. Liam Hicks for the Marlins gave you just 1 point. And then last but not least, you had Ellie De La Cruz and Kristen Yelich. They gave you 2 points. So it's just you kind of know what you're getting with some of them. But, I mean, it's that's why baseball's so fun. Day in, day out, it just changes. And, yeah, I honestly don't know if maybe is this the time James Woods usually hits his wall and just tanks for the rest of the year?
I don't know. I mean, I hope not. I mean, when he's on, he's on. He's great when he's not striking out a ton and at a 30% or 40% clip, at times. But yeah, it is what it is. And like you said, with those honorable mentions, it's just the same group of guys that kind of go kind of either way sometimes with the strikeouts consistently, the lack of power at times that comes with it, just in these bad slumps. So I think, I think sometimes with like Christian Walker, Hunter Goodman, like you mentioned there, like those guys, I feel like are just really streaky guys. Especially Goodman. I think it's great to see the power in Colorado, but I just don't think it's just always consistent. And then the strikeouts come with it sometimes. So, but going back to the other two guys here, with Drake Baldwin, I don't know. I mean, we love this guy. I thought he's a breakout guy this year. He's been fantastic with Atlanta. But like you mentioned, did he come back a little bit too early from his injury? Right? No hits, 14 strikeouts. I mean, oof. But you got to ride him out, right, Doug?
Oh, of course.
You got to ride this guy out.
When he's healthy, I mean, he's capable. He had a great year before he got hurt. He was batting over 300. I think a lot of it, too, is that, Acuna's not in that lineup right now. And as much as I think he's overrated, he still makes the lineup go. So, and when he's in there, then he sets the tone for the rest of the lineup. Now, he's not there. So what do? They batting Drake Baldwin leadoff. They're batting Mauricio Dubon leadoff. Michael Harris once in a while. Like, there's no stability with that leadoff spot. So I think it throws a wrench into everybody and their production when you don't have that. And I think that's what you're seeing right now because he did that leadoff most of last week. And as you can tell, it didn't work out too well.
No, they thought he was going to be the same guy coming back to it. But it's going to take a minute. Same with Ellie De La Cruz, only 2 points this week. He just came back from his injury as well this week. So, again, he's just getting back into the Major League Baseball shape. Give these guys a couple weeks, and they're going to be just fine. But at this point, I think you still got to ride that wave of just starting them out. You still got to start them. Jared Durant, on the other hand, I don't know. I mean, he's been kind of rough, right?
Yeah. Oh, so Adam's watching, and he just put There should be a permanent spot on this list for Austin Riley. And let me tell you, Adam, we had told I mean, I am not an Austin Riley guy. I had him that 40 home run year. I had him the year after, and he was just horrible. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm done with this Riley thing. And I'm glad because he's just never been the same. And I think what you see now is what you're going to get for the rest of his career, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's too bad. I mean, he's only what, 28, 29. He's still fairly young. He's just never panned out. Just he had that great 1 year. What did he win Rookie of the Year?
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did.
But he was pretty good though back, young, but man, just too bad.
So we go from hitters to pitchers. So let's do the same thing. Let's talk. We'll run down the list, and then we can start breaking some of these guys down. And again, the name shouldn't surprise you. First and foremost, Toronto starting pitcher Kevin Gausman. He's 92.9% owned. He went 0-2, 8 innings pitched, so he averaged 4 innings a start, 7 strikeouts, 6 walks, 13 earned, negative 12.16 points. This guy gave you negative 6 points a start last week. So if you're in a weekly lineup and you're like, oh, you know what? He's a 2-start pitcher. I'm going to throw you in. This is what happens when 2-start pitchers, and this is what they can do to weekly lineups. They can crush you. Negative 12, negative 6 every start. And, he was at the Cubs, which I get, you're in Chicago. That's a little tough. But then you're home versus the Rangers. I feel like that's winnable. And then next up on this list, I got Mariners starting pitcher Brian Wu. He's 98% owned, 0-1, 4 innings, 4 Ks, 2 walks, 5 earned, negative 4 at Pittsburgh against the Pirates. Now, I have some really good stats about Brian Wu because Monday we'll release our weekly show on lineups and must starts and for pitchers and hitters and whatnot. And I do have Brian Wu on there. Should I just spoil it? Why not? Whatever.
Just do it.
I have Brian Wu on there, and I have him as a must start next week. He's got 2 starts at home. And if you look at his home and away numbers, it's night and day. It is night and day. I think his last 4 starts at home, he's 4-0. He looks so much better at home than he does away, just like Ryan Nelson when we talked about him on the show. When I started him and he got the win, it's just so much better at home. I might just start maybe streaming him on away, bench him on away, maybe play him on home, because the Pittsburgh Pirates should be a winnable matchup. So some honorable mentions there. Yankees started pitcher Garrett Cole gave you negative 2.9. Another Mariners pitcher, Emerson Hancock, gave you negative 1.4. Toronto starting pitcher Shane Bieber, negative 0.24. And then you had Mets pitcher Nolan McLean, Angels starting pitcher, relief pitcher Reed Detmers, and Red Sox starting pitcher Peyton Tolley. They only gave you 1.8 points.
Yeah, brutal week for those guys. I mean, really bad. But I mean, the Kevin Gausman, oof, 12.
We knew it.
12 points though. That's so bad. It's just so bad. But yeah, I mean, like you said, we talk about him almost on a weekly basis. I feel at this point, there's like a Kevin Gausman Mendoza line. I feel with him with us, he's just kind of like the base. He's just like the floor type guy, because he can be good at times. But I don't know. We go back 5-6 starts now. It's been not good for him. It has been not good for him for a minute. So I mean, what do you do with a guy like that? Do you believe in Toronto in the second half? I think I do, but this guy has to be a part of that turnaround as well. He needs to figure it out, or go on the IL, or I don't know if he's got something going on with him, and he's fighting through it. Who knows? But he's definitely not right now. So I'm kind of staying away all the way from Kevin Gausman, and I don't think he's droppable at this point because he still again plays for Toronto. And he does go deep in the games. I think I watched it yesterday. I think he was 6 innings. I think he got all 6 earned runs in 1 inning. I think it was last night. I get these games mixed up all the time. We just so much baseball. But yeah, it is what it is. I think because he was going against that's all right. I'm gonna go off track if I do this. But Brian Wu, let's go back to him real quick because
against the Rangers,
yeah. Was it Mackenzie Gore? I think it was Mackenzie.
Yep. Yeah, it was Mackenzie Gore.
That's what it was. All right, yeah. So, but Brian Wu, like, overdrafted. We kind of suspected that could have happened, right? To this point in the season. Like, obviously, he wasn't going to throw quality starts all the time, but he's been kind of middle of the road, though. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about before the season about valuing pitchers in these drafts and, like, where to position on, like, really starting to ramp up, picking up pitchers. And, like, this year, with Crochet being hurt, Skubal being hurt, and being kind of mid to this point, and then Skeens not playing as well, having 4 earned runs tonight. I think we got to value pitchers a little bit differently in drafts, and we got to talk about how you need to draft bat heavy. I think that's what I'm kind of learning from this season a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of makes you, like you said, I mean, I think it's all league dependent, but it really does make you want to sit there and say, okay, well, I don't know. It's a little bit of everything, right? Because you knew Brian Wu wasn't going to do what he did last year. I mean, the guy gave you quality starts, and I think out of all his starts, he didn't give you one in like 3 of the starts. It was some ridiculous number. He was a top 10, top 15 pitcher. You knew that was unsustainable year in, year out. Skubal, at least before he got hurt, he put up Skubal numbers. His ERA still looks great. He still looks pretty good. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's not Skubal-ish the last couple starts, but it's still startable at that point. Skeens is just a head case. Like I said, I mean, you don't know what you're getting from him start in and start out, which is why I might bench him next week against the Phillies in Philly. And then Crochet, I mean, there's still no timetable on his return. So, yeah, I mean, our money league that we're in, you get points for quality starts. You get points for, innings and all that stuff. So it does behoove you. I just wanted to throw that word in here. It does. But to get a consistent pitcher that can go those 6 innings, because you want that extra 5 points. So it's like, yeah, you do want to do it, but because of that, you do overvalue it. Now, again, should those guys still go in the first round? I mean, obviously, if it's a 10, 12 team, yeah, I mean, those guys are going to go in the first round. Even if you drafted today, I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, if Crochet was healthy, you know what I mean? They would all probably still go in the first round regardless. But, yeah, it does make you kind of look at your strategy. At least if you're in a keeper league, it makes you second guess keeping a pitcher.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if you look at the top 10 too this year in pitching, it's just a lot of guys that were drafted later. I don't think anyone had really Dennis Martin peaking as the way he did so far to this point. I mean, Gavin Williams has been steady. He's still up there. Max Mayer, is considered a top 10 fantasy pitcher based off points in some leagues. Like, it's just kind of, you don't know sometimes. And I think with bats, when I look at the top bats, I think there's just more consistency when it comes to value, when it comes to those rounds. And I don't know, pitching can go either way. It's just interesting. Just an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah, I get it. So we go from talking about who's hot and who's not to buying and selling. So let's talk about some guys that I think you could sell based off this past week. The first one might surprise you. It might not. It is our good old boy. There he is. Nice smile. He's happy. He's like, yeah, I'm having a good week. Now's the time to get rid of him. Here's my little spiel on Padres third baseman Manny Machado. He's 91% owned. Good week, right? 261, 2 homers, 7 ribbies, 7 strikeouts, 4 runs. He gave you 22 points, 3.7 to start. I do think we can officially say that Father Time has caught up to Manny Machado. And if you were looking to sell earlier, I mean, the best you could probably get, maybe a couple weeks ago was like a bag of peanuts for him, like nothing crazy. Horrible year, 184. Still had 14 home runs, 43 ribbies, 72 strikeouts, 37 runs. I mean, 149 points, 1.9 to start. Not anywhere near the type of production you envision drafting this guy in and around the 4th round, right? I mean, but there's hope. The Padres just swept the Braves. They look, at least offensively, that they might have turned the corner, which means Machado might retain some of that value he lost earlier in the year. Now, like I said, I'm not a Machado guy, but I'm a realist. He should still hit you 30 home runs. Third base is a tough position, especially in leagues that have that extra third, first flex position on the roster. But that being said, I'd probably think of shopping him around now since he's put together a decent week. I really think, because if you take the chance of holding him and, say, or you hold him and you hope the streak continues, you got to really ask yourself, though, do I want to be the one left holding the bag if it doesn't? And that's where it's going to hurt you, just like Jose Soriano when you could have sold him and we knew that wasn't going to continue, right? I think Manny Machado next year, he's not going to be drafted in the top 5 rounds. I think Manny Machado next year might be drafted around 6th or 7th. All depends on how he finishes this year. Still serviceable, still all right. I mean, 1.9 a start for the season so far is kind of borderline startable. I mean, Bregman's giving you 1.9, 1.8, so very similar. And he was drafted probably right around the same time, maybe around later. I think if you want to move on from him, he's put together a pretty good week. He hit you a couple home runs. Now would be a really good time to just wash your hands clean. If you don't, you don't. But like I said, you risk that whole thing of holding on to him when he just goes cold all over again.
I like it because the Padres have been playing really good baseball. Like you said, they just swept the Braves really good. Maybe they did turn a corner. I'm not going to lie to you, Doug. I'm a believer in Manny Machado still. I am actually a kind of a buyer almost at this point for Manny Machado. I just like him. I think I'm a believer. I just think he's been so consistent throughout his career. I think it's kind of Manny Machado's a stud, must-watch TV, right? I mean, we're talking about multiple-time Gold Glove, All-Star, just an absolute almost shoe-in Hall of Famer, I think, almost at this point. I think we got to give him a little bit more credit where credit's due. And I think it's fair to have a guy that is obviously regressing, for sure. There's no doubt that he's regressing. But I still think there's some juice left in the tank. And I think with the Padres just as a whole starting off as the way they did, I just still think they still have a shot at making the playoffs just because they have the talent behind it. They're still not that far behind in the standings. It's so early in the season still when it comes to that second wild card spot. And I still think Manny Machado in that lineup is going to produce because I think Tatis has turned that corner. He looks really starting to heat up. Jackson Merrill still got a little bit of a pop. I don't know. I still think there's opportunity there. And that's the perfect thing, though. Between you and I, we're almost perfect partners. So if you're looking to unload a Manny Machado on your team, and I'm looking through my roster right now, and it's like maybe I have a little bit of extra pitcher that I can just put a 1-for-1 deal, right? Because at this point, Manny Machado has burned you for so long that you just want to get rid of him. So maybe I'll throw you a bone and say, maybe I'll throw you a Nathan Eovaldi. Maybe I'll throw you a Shane McClanahan just to get the headache off of your plate. You get a little bit of value that you could be using down the road. And we're both happy with the result. So I think a Manny Machado can be easily shopped if you're looking for a trade if you have him on your fantasy team.
I mean, the guy's got 70-plus strikeouts. That's what sets me off. I'm not saying he'll hit you 30 home runs. Like, yeah, I'm telling you, I know he will. He's already on pace for 35. I'm not going to say that. He's older. The team's been struggling. I think they'll make the wild card. They're in second place now in the West, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just not on the Manny Machado train, man. Someone threw me off years ago, and I don't know. I think he's overvalued. I think 4th round for him is way too soon. And you're right. I mean, someone is probably going to unload him, and they're probably going to unload him for something a lot less valuable than a guy you drafted in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wouldn't go out and get him. I have Alex Bregman, so I have that headache. The only difference is Alex Bregman doesn't strike out as much, so it's a livable headache.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't want to stock up on all, potential players. Like, you know, I mean, if you have a lineup with everybody with potential, I'd have Austin Riley in there for God's sakes. It just doesn't make sense.
You could have Austin Riley. You could have James Wood. You could have all of them, you know.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, though. You don't want to take a lot of risk on a lot of guys that are going to kill you or burn you all at once. It's the worst. It could absolutely wreck you. And Machado is definitely one of those guys at this point where if you have a roster, if you already do have a couple of those guys, maybe not do it, but in a position that I think a lot of teams should be in too is third base, corner positions. I think third base is a thin position still. And sometimes you got to take the risk sometimes with some guys. And Machado, again, I think has a pretty good background to this point where I got to give this guy a second chance. I really do. I think he's absolutely earned it in his career, which is Doug, you know me, Doug. I don't give a lot of second chances out. So it's just one of those things where I just feel that, you know, second half coming up, we always see 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that just come out of nowhere and just make an unbelievable playoff push, you know, to all the way to the end. You know, my pick, and Manny Machado is going to be a part of that. I just love the Donald Silva calls. What can I say?
Manny Machado. All right, so we talk about a player that I would probably sell. Let's throw you a pitcher. And again, I think we just talked about him.
Ooh,
there he
the
is.
Woo Man.
The Woo Man. Now, I do, like I said, I do own him. But let me go over the numbers and let me tell you why he could be a sell. Just because of kind of where he was drafted, what his numbers look like. Okay. So, like I said, great week. If you count his other start in the past 7 days, he got the win. He's 1-1. 11 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts, 3 walks, 5 earned. That was all the Pirates. So that was that whole -4 for that entire start. But versus the Orioles, he got the win, and he was at home. So there's a theme here. Versus the Orioles at home, a win. Away in Pittsburgh, a loss. Okay. On the year, 6-6, 93 innings pitched, 92 strikeouts. Not too bad. 18 walks, 4.2 ERA, 167 points, 10.5 a start in points leagues. Still not awful, but not crazy. I mean, I can't remember if there's ever been a more consistent starting pitcher in baseball. I mean, I'm sure there has, but last year, Brian Wu was automatic. Like I said, I think he failed to go 6 and get you a quality start around just 3 times. It's insane. He was drafted in and around that 4th round, and rightfully so. But, man, when he's not going this year, he is not going, right? 3-3 in his last 6 starts, and this is where it gets fun. 3-3 in his last 6 starts. It's either a win or a loss when he loses. There's no decision. He's 3-3. Now, here's the ugly. 4 2/3, 4 earned at Kansas City. 6 1/3, 5 earned at Detroit. 5 innings, 7 earned at Baltimore. And finally, 4 innings, 5 earned at Pittsburgh. Now, there's a trend, and that is when he pitches at home, he pitches so much better. But are you really going to sit a starting pitcher you drafted around the 4th round whenever they're away? That's why I'm saying I wouldn't matter if you sell him, right? He still holds a ton of value. And like I said, next week he's home. This is where he wins. 3-0 last 3 starts, actually 4-0 in his last 4 starts. He's at home. He's versing the Angels. I'd probably see how he does and then maybe pull the trigger on trading him if you want to trade him. But he's still worth a good player in return. Maybe not someone drafted as high as he went. But I will say I think Wu is better than Machado, and they were both drafted in the 4th round. So give me Wu over Machado any day. But you know what I mean. I'm a man that likes consistency, and I'd probably be looking to move on from Wu this year. You know, who knows? Next year, if he continues this, he's going to fall in drafts, and you might be able to get this guy in the 7th round. You know, that could be a pretty good pickup for next year if you're always thinking a step ahead, you know. But this year, he pitches at home, he wins. He pitches away, he loses. He's a headache. And a 4th round pitcher that you drafted that early, you got to start him. or you got to get rid of him. Like it's tough. I mean, I can tell you, I drafted him. I still start him every week. I drafted Valdez. I still, unfortunately, start him once in a while. So I get it. But if you want to move on from him, I think maybe you see how he does against the Angels next week. He's at home. That should give you a win. If he gets the win, now you're talking about, instead of like 10.5 points to start, maybe he's at 12 or 11 and a half. He needs another point. That makes a trade value a little more balanced if you're trying to go after someone bigger. So I wouldn't hate if you want to go out there and you want to trade him.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's win-win for both. I think it's Brandon Wu still has name value. I think Brandon Wu still carries very heavy name value, and he plays for the Seattle Mariners, which we all know has great pitching staff. So you just expect all of them to be good. I just feel like that just kind of gets confusing at times when the name Brandon Wu comes up. But I would love to have a Brandon Wu in my rotation, or at least on my staff. So like you said, if you need to rotate him in and out, depending on he's home or away, I'm okay with that. If you can afford to do that and say, I need the depth with this and that, whatever, and I'm going to think creatively outside the box, and if I can afford it, I can do it. That's pretty cool. But I think at this point, though, I think we know the Brandon Wu of last year is not going to come back. I think we both know that last year was a career year, and he will probably never have that many quality starts in one season again. And don't forget, last year he did get hurt. He got hurt at the end of the year, and I think it's kind of affected him kind of going into this season too. I think there's some wear and tear after last season. It was a career year. A lot of innings was pitched. So for him to repeat that coming into this year, I think was unrealistic. And again, if he can go out and get that win, like you said, that just boosts his value up a little bit more. And like you said, we don't like headaches. We hate headaches. So if we want to move on, this is the time to do it. There's a lot of value in that. A lot of value. I think you can get a lot for Brandon Wu still.
I do too. I mean, I don't think it would be anywhere near what you could have got last year when he was going.
Oh God, no. Not even close.
So those are a couple that I wouldn't mind selling on. The buying ones are going to be fun. And when I say, I mean, man, just look at the first one and you tell me. And Mike, you knew I had to throw him on here. You knew I had to. Look at that. I mean, the guy broke his bat, for God's sakes. You know he's on fire. I don't care what anybody tells you.
I had a smile on my face when I read it. It was great.
Athletics first baseman, outfielder Tyler Soderstrom. He's 86% owned. Pretty decent week, 333, a homer, 2 ribbies, 3 strikeouts, 5 runs, gave you 18 points. The way this year started for Tyler, at least the first month and a half, this guy was not rosterable. Hitting under 200, a ton of strikeouts, nothing else really going on for him. If you were in a league where someone dropped this guy and just kind of gave up on him and you picked him up, boy, man, did you just rob a bank? You should call the police. I'm telling you, man, because he has resurrected his fantasy value, right? You think about that. So your first month and a half, you're batting right around 200. You're at 242 now. You got 13 home runs. You got 41 ribbies. You only got 58 strikeouts, which isn't horrible. 40 runs, 95 points. He's giving you 2.5 to start. This guy was averaging 1.6 to 1.5. He brought it all the way up to 2.5 points to start. Just for context, anything over 2.2, 2.3 per game is startable, in my opinion. So he is definitely startable. He plays for one of the most fun, one of the most underrated offenses in baseball. He bats every day. He bats right in the middle of that lineup every day. Lately, it's been cleanup. I'd go out and I'd try to get this guy now while you still can. I'm sure owners that hold him remember how bad he was to start the year. So you might be able to get him at a very good discount if he's available. He plays outfield. He plays first. That eligibility is huge in fantasy. We all know that. Just a great bat to have. Wouldn't cost you a ton. Was drafted in and around the 11th round. I feel his value might be a little better than that, but still solid, consistent, inexpensive bat to any lineup looking to plug a hole in outfield, in utility, in DH, or first.
Yeah, I don't want to slight him, but he's like a poor man's Al Burleson, right? Outfield, first base.
Sure.
But man, let's talk about the beginning of the season for Tyler Soderstrom. So bad. It was so bad. It was so concerning at the same time, too. The whole Athletics team was very concerning at one point. Just because, again, they were a sneaky top 5 AL hitting team last year when it came down to it. But now I think it's warming up. Warm weather's there. Ball's flying out of the park now. And now all of a sudden they've hit this stride. And Tyler Soderstrom is definitely in the center of that as well. We talked about headaches earlier, Doug. Some people just don't like headaches. So if they rub you the wrong way, sometimes you just want to get rid of them. I think Tyler Soderstrom in the beginning of the year rubbed people the wrong way. So if you held on to him to this point, he's probably just been rotting on your bench. And someone's just waiting just for that little bit of value to come through just for them to move him. So this is a really opportune time, I think, to go out and get a Tyler Soderstrom because he is going to be producing, I think, the rest of the year. Like I said, summertime in Sacramento, that ball is going to be flying out the bat, and he's starting to heat up.
Yeah, it's a fun lineup. I mean, God, you got Nick Kurtz batting leadoff. It's crazy.
What a leadoff hitter.
You got Jacob Wilson. I know he's day-to-day now, but he's batting right after Tyler. So he's batting like 5th. It's just the dynamic lineup and how it's set up is just it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun for baseball. I think it's a great team. I think the only thing they're missing is arms, really. And Gage Jump, though, I think he might be the real deal. I looked at his last start, mid-upper 90s, contact when he needs it, strikeouts when he needs it. Not a bad guy.
Sneaky good. Like I said, I think a couple weeks ago, he was supposed to be the best left-handed pitcher coming out this year. He was supposed to be the guy, circle him, check mark him, do something, remember his name. So if it's the real deal, man, what a steal. What a steal that could be for a lot of teams.
All right. And here's another one, another fun one I'm buying. And I'll go over the numbers. We already talked about him. Look at that. Look at that face, man. You got to love the face, man. He just looks like a fun guy, right? I am all in on Ranger Suarez. Starting pitcher, Boston Red Sox, only 79% owned. I don't understand the 79%. Where's the other 20? Pretty good week, right? I want to know. Got a win, got a no decision, 12 2/3, 14 strikeouts, only 1 earned, 4 walks, 39 points. Not too bad. It's weird because I think anyone who has a 2.83 ERA for the year and only averages 9.5 points a start tells me you have to look beyond the numbers and look at the team itself. So in 15 starts this year, Ranger has 9 no decisions. Of those 9 no decisions, he's given up 2 runs or less in 7 of them. 7 of them, 2 runs or less and 9 no decisions. He's 3-3 on the year. Should probably have around 7 wins. Again, this is when you gotta look at the whole picture. Red Sox offense is horrible. I think if he played for a better offensive team, you're talking about a guy that could be a top 20 starting pitcher. He's only ranked 46th right now. He's at least a guy an inning. And, yeah, he does get a lot of no decisions, but you're still getting double-digit points, which is the crazy part. Because of the strikeouts, because of the quality start, he still gets you double-digit points. So he's not killing you when he gets a loss. But it could still be so much better. Guy was drafted in the 16th round, and although the offense is horrible, he's not been horrible. I think if you're looking for a consistent starting pitcher, I really don't think he'd cost a ton. Like I said, he was drafted with the expectation of playing for a Red Sox team that was going to be a contender. And as you can see, they are not. And that is what's costing him wins. I don't think he's going to cost a ton. I'm sure owners know that offense is what's kind of bogging them down. And because of that, I would think they'd be more likely to deal him. So I don't think he's going to cost a ton. I would go in and try to nab a Ranger Suarez if I could. You talk about Brian Wu last year in the quality starts. Ranger Suarez has been giving you a ton of quality starts. He just hasn't gotten a win, which is unfortunate. But I still think he's a good pitcher. I mean, I like the move. I just wish they invested more in an offense. That's all.
I know. I mean, we could have a whole podcast of that, Doug. We could talk for an hour about that. But man, Ranger is just one of those guys where he can be just a slam dunk, just 7, 8, even complete games. Like, this is what he does. He just goes deep into games as well. But no decisions. It's because of who he's playing for. And again, we thought the Red Sox were going to be a better baseball team. I think a lot of other people would think the same thing too. They didn't expect them to be bottom of the AL at this point in the season, almost going into July. It's very bad. It's been very bad this year to this point. And I don't think a lot of people, again, expected it. So you expected Ranger Suarez at least to get a couple extra wins here and there. But it just hasn't happened to this point. But his numbers are still good. The 79% ownership, by the way, crazy. That is just nuts. I think he should be owned in way more leagues than 79%. That's a wild number. But he is so attractive still to rotations because of what he can do still. Like in a categories league, he's still eating up innings. He's not giving up too many runs. He still strikes out guys. Like, he's still very valuable, I think, in a lot of capacities. Again, 5-year deal, right? He's not going anywhere. I don't think he's leaving there anytime soon with Crochet. They're the 1-2. So who knows what's going to happen with the Red Sox team itself this year. So what do you forecast for the future here for the rotation? It's kind of bleak. It's going to be bleak for the Sox. It's going to get worse almost before it gets better at this point. So I kind of expect kind of the same kind of input that has been doing at this point. Not bad input. It's just in point leagues, you're just not going to get that extra, 10 points sometimes because of just who he plays for. But the production's still there. I'm all in on him. I would take him in a heartbeat. And I think he's, because of all that, kind of a steal. Right, Doug?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they're going to be sellers, right? I mean, we can list down the guys that'll probably be gone. You can say Sonny Gray. You can say Chapman. You can say Jared Duran probably. You're hoping that if they were smart, they'd build for next year and go out and maybe trade those guys for bats. Build the offense with them. Because I think your rotation's set, honestly. You got Crochet, you got Tolley, you got Early, you got Ranger. Like, you have a pretty good rotation going into next year. And it's sad we're even talking about next year when we're not even halfway through this year, which is insane. But you got to be realistic. They're not going to make the playoffs, right? They'll be lucky if they finish 500. It's just how it is. Their offense was horrible. You can look and sit back there and say, well, they made a lot of bad decisions. I would counter and say, I think they made a lot of good decisions because not signing Xander Bogaerts to play shortstop till he's 40 years old is insane. Not signing, getting rid of Devers' contract and all that money, well, man, now they look like geniuses, right? Yeah, you could sit there and say, well, Kyle Harrison, and of course, there's always going to be some of those guys that are going to come out and just do that. But I'm talking about some of the key guys that they let go of that a lot of people were like, well, why are you guys letting them go? Listen, I think they made the right moves for the most part. I get what they did. You go out and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna trade Rafael Devers, pocket the money, and then you're like, okay, as a fan, I get it. Maybe boost up the offense, right? Well, they lost out on Bregman, and honestly, that's a good loss because he does not look good, right? Mm-hmm. But you're built for the next couple of years. You got a nice rotation, and it's young. Ranger Suarez is not. I think he's like 29. Crochet's in his late 20s. Early, Tolley, they're all in their mid to early 20s. So you're good. Now you need to go out and you need to get some bats. And I think being sellers at the trade deadline, I know a lot of times people look at that and they say, well, that's a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing right now. You got nothing going for you. You're going to sell some of these guys and you're going to build up for next year. And you hope that maybe you can trade some of them and get a good bat. Maybe trade a Chapman and a Jared Duran and get, a packaging for a 2-for-1 and maybe get a really good player. Forget the prospects. We know what prospects can. They're hit or miss, right? You look at Jackson Holiday, right? It is what it is. You go out and you get yourself a major league ready player when you do some of these trades. Sonny Gray, I was wrong. His first couple starts didn't look good, but he turned into a starter. He turned into a really good pitcher. Now here's your chance to capitalize, man. Go out and trade him. Trade him for a really good hitter. There are teams that would kill for him, you know?
Mm.
Same thing. Same thing with Durant. Same thing with Chapman. Go out and get the hitters. You got the ammo now. You're a trade. You're a seller. There's no hope for you for the year. You got a good rotation built for the next 4 or 5. Go get offense, man. You got the tools. You got the money. There's no need to be sitting on your hands right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at this point, I don't even know who's a good fit for Boston. I don't even know who would be a good name to even target at this point. You know, we just saw all the free agency frenzy with some pretty big names that signed up for a few years at this point. So it's tough to really pinpoint. Like, I think for pitching, it's, you know, pretty much all set, right? You know, we're set with that. So, you know, you're not going to target like a Logan Webb or anything like that, you know, a guy that's has a 1-year deal left, right? Like, you know, going to go after those guys. So what do? You go after maybe like a Corbin Carroll? Like, do you go after like one of those kind of upcoming star type guys? Like, you know, I'm thinking, you know, St. Louis is building something special. I don't think anyone's going there at this point. You know, Mike Trout, but he's aging. There's a few different things. There's a few different like type of questions to ask there.
Yeah, and Logan said in the chat, he said, "Remember when Boston used to spend money?" I remember it. I do. And let me tell you though, some of those things were not good. I mean, how many contracts can we go through that were just? I mean, Carl Crawford,
Julio Lugo,
Edgar Renteria,
Rusney Castillo.
God, Rudy Castillo. Yeah, I mean, man, Lugo. I mean, you can, you know, but they do need a leader. They do need to go out. They do need to get something. What? I don't know. I mean, I was a big guy for, hey, maybe you can go out and get Jordan. Well, then, I mean, they're still in the thick of it. So if you're going to plan on getting a Jordan, you're not going to get him until later. You're not going to get him until after the season. But, you know, it's fun to sit here and throw scenarios because you know what they need. They're built off a defense from a position of pitching. They're built. It's more of the offense. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I know, like you said, the Giants are going to be sellers. Luis Arias, to me, he made sense for this team last year. He was a free agent for so long. This is a guy that doesn't strike out. 24 strikeouts all last year. That's insane. Having a great year again this year, hitting over 300. Mm-hmm. Contact guy. Yeah, he's not going to wow you. He's not going to hit you 40 home runs. He's going to hit you 4. You know, I get it. Like, he's not, but he is consistent. He doesn't strike out. He makes contacts. He does the thing baseball players are supposed to do. And he plays 3 different positions. So why not go out and get him? But they didn't.
No.
I don't know. Would they be in a better position with a Luis Arias? I mean, I don't think it would hurt him.
I don't, you know, it's funny. Luis Arias is a fun name, but I also think like a guy like a Matt Chapman. It's funny because third base has kind of been wonky. I know Corbin Dorbin is kind of like picking it up a little bit, but Marcel Mayer is definitely not it for sure. I think we can kind of write the book on him at this point. But I think a Matt Chapman would bring some leadership to him, multi-time Gold Glover. Yes, he does bring a lot of strikeouts together, but maybe he's just a really good fit for Fenway Park as well. Interesting name. He's probably going to be out there because I think he's toward the end of his contract-ish. Like, it's not new, that's for sure. So maybe there's some value there. And they already like to trade with each other. We know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe they might put a void on Buster Posey for these trades. I think he's setting that organization back a couple of years with some of these trades that he took on. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do and who they get. You know, I wish maybe we could run the team and see what happens.
You know, give a couple guys a shot, right?
That's it, man. That's it. But I mean, like you said, we could talk Red Sox for an hour if we really wanted to. But hey, that is our time. We ran our hour. It goes by so quick when you have so much fun stuff to talk about. So yeah, a little quick recap here. We ended up talking about some of the hottest hitters, pitchers and hitters, and some of the coldest, and then some really good buy low, sell high candidates based off of their last week performance. So don't forget, Monday mornings we put out our videos of must-start pitchers and hitters and lineups for the week, talk about some IL stints and some really good sleepers that I think we're pretty good on hitting with some of them.
Not bad.
3% owned pitchers that we put on there for matchups, and we've got a couple sneaky wins in there, and I'll take sneaky wins all day, every day in fantasy.
Points.
Don't forget to add us, subscribe, all that good stuff. FSAN, Bourbon N Ball on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page as well we're on. So, again, next week, I know it's going to be the 4th of July weekend, but we are going to be here. We are going to be live. We are going to be sipping some good stuff. Hopefully, you'll be on vacation, sipping some good stuff, sitting here with us as well. So for Mikey V, I'm Doug. This is Bourbon N Ball. We'll see you next week.